So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to get the prefab of the cat animated slightly. It's not a huge amount of animation, but it's a good start. I'm also going to go through some debugging, and debugging is really important. In this particular tutorial, I hit a lot of problems that you're probably going to face as well with augmented reality, especially with ARCore being in beta at the moment. Beta usually means that things aren't quite working as well as they could, but it's really useful to be able to have a go at something when it's in beta. You get it before everyone else, which is brilliant, which is the pro of it, and this is definitely worth giving a go even with the problems. So I'm going to show you how I overcome those problems. I'm going to leave all of the errors in here, which means the video is a little longer than it should be, but to compensate for that, I've left the project, a link to the project, all the code. You can download that below for free via just the Dropbox link below in the description of the video. So check that out, or of course follow along as well. You might get different errors because of course this is a beta version, so some of the errors just pop up and some of them don't, depending on whenever Unity feels like it. Okay, and of course, thank you to the people who have supporting the channel, leaving a comment. I appreciate the support and the encouragement. It's really nice to see that. And of course, thank you to everyone who's downloading the beta of Colossal Quest as well. Well done as well for getting that early before everyone else, while the price has been reduced. If you're still missing out and you have a Daydream enabled phone, then you should probably check that out now before the price goes up when the game is released. And of course, let me know if you play it. I'd love to know. Drop me an email and give me your feedback, or leave a comment below. Okay, so anyway, let's jump straight into the tutorial now. In our last tutorial, we managed to get the cat on the screen when you were pointing your phone, obviously at a flat surface, and you tapped. And that worked out okay, but now we want to add in some animations. So first of all, let's take a look at this model that we have, this asset that we downloaded in the last tutorial. We had a demo scene, and it's always a good idea to have a look at the demo scene. I've actually already looked at that. I'd advise you to take a quick look. In fact, you know what, why don't we do that together? I think this is probably a good idea. Sometimes you'll find in a demo scene it really shows you the full extent of how you can use the particular asset you've downloaded, and that's incredibly helpful, because a lot of the times you might not even know all the cool things you can do. So what we're going to do now is unload our original scene. We're not going to remove it. We could remove it, but we'll just unload it for now, because we want to run this script. We want to run this scene without the Hello AR scene running as well. So let's hit play and let's take a look at how that looks when it's running. There we have the cat. But we've got walking, we've got looking left and right with the tail wag, and we've got running as well, which is okay. It's for now, this is great actually for what we need, for what we're looking to do. So let's stop this. Let's take a look at the cat light itself, and we have the animator in place here. And on this animator, we can see there's actually quite a few animations actually. Idle A, B, run and walk. So we can play around with these now that we have them, and create our own animator rather than using the existing one. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's right click over here first of all on assets and create a new folder, and let's call it animators. And in here we're going to create our cat animator. So if you don't know, the animator controller just controls the different animations and which ones are playing based off of different script calls like triggers and so on. So we can use this to change when the cat's maybe walking towards you or looking around and so on. Let's call this cat controller. Let's call it cat AR controller. And when we open this up, it's completely empty. There's an exit one and there's any entry here. I'm gonna go back into the animator here, into the, I think it was yes, that's what, the model. So the model is where the animations are kept, and I'm gonna place in idle A, idle B, and I'm also gonna load our original scene back in and remove the cat light demo. We don't need that. So we have our idle A and idle B. So let's have a look at idle A. Click on idle A. I can actually press play and see what he's doing there. Okay, nothing amazing, but it's exactly what we need. Oh, okay, so idle B is looking around. So what we could do, for example, let's just say, is we could have the cat. It's always a good idea to plan out what you're going to do before you do it. So let's just have the example that for now, when we place our cat down on the floor, we'll do a few different things. Let's just do the basic one is you place the cat down on the floor and it just looks left and right every so often. And that's going to be pretty easy. We'll select idle A to idle B and then select idle B back to idle A, and these will automatically trigger. We won't have to do anything really more than that. And if we go back to our cat prefab, which is here, and we will see that the animator, there's nothing there, so we can go into our animators folder and place our cat controller there. So I could play this now. I'm not going to test this on the device immediately because I'm pretty sure this will work. I'm going to take this a little bit further before I test it on the device. What I'm going to do now is just change our existing example controller hello AR controller code. At the moment, what we have is a situation where when I tap on the augmented reality mesh plane or platform that's created by the AR controller script, it places a cat down. That's great. The only issue is I can keep on tapping on the same ground and you'll get multiple cats appearing, which you can see in the previous video. I prefer if there's just one cat, and from then on maybe taps and so on could change something else about the cats, maybe change its action, so or whatever we decide. So let's remove that part of the script where it has the ability to do multiple clicks, and then let's try it. Let's test it out. So let's go back into the script we have open up here, and let's try and find that part of the code where when you tap it actually places the cat prefab. So let's scroll down and find that point. So if we look on here, there's a point. All the tracking is happening in the update method, and when you tap, it's a touch event, and it's checking if there's how many points on the screen are getting touched. If there's less than one, it doesn't want to do anything. So 0, in other words, it just skips this part. If there is a hit, it will now create an anchor based off of that hit point, and then it will create an Andy. Oh, so this is JavaScript. There's a mix of JavaScript in here, which is alright. It's no big deal really. We got the Andy object, which is instantiated by our Andy prefab here, which is actually now our cat. So I'm going to probably change the names of this. This is a great naming scheme that we've got here. So let's do that now as well before I go any further. Otherwise it's just going to get confusing. Let me change this from Andy Android prefab. If I select this and I right click and go to refactor and rename, and that will not just change this, it will change every single script that also refers to this, as well as every other variable that has this name. So let's change this from Andy which is a huge saving of time, to cat prefab. I'm happy with that. And hit OK. I think that the scheme here is lowercase, so I'll follow what they've got here. And that works. And then let's also go down, so you can see it's changed here to cat prefab. But this is the variable that they've created, so I'm also going to change this one. And all of these should change once I've done that. Although I can't. Where's the refactor toolbar? Oh, I think I might be able to just change it like this. There we go. Cat object. Good. Hit save. So this makes a bit more sense now. So we instantiate a variable base of the cat prefab, base of the hit point. This is all great. I've got no issues with this at all. Of course, there's nothing checking how many cats we have, which is why we can create an infinite one. All we have to do that is create, well, we could have an int, and the int would allow us to put a limit on how many cats. So we could just have one, or we could do a boolean. That's really a choice that we can do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a public, I'm going to create an int. I'm going to create a public int, and I'm going to say number of cats allowed. I'm going to set this to 1. So only 1 cat is allowed, and that means if we change this to, obviously change this to 2 or 3, based off of our code, it would allow us to have multiple cats. I think that's a good way of thinking ahead in case we want to do something down the line. So cats, number of cats allowed is 1. I'm also going to add another variable called current number of cats. Now we have how many cats we have at the moment, which is 0, and how many cats are allowed. And I'm actually going to change this to private. So let's take that and let's have a look over here. So the raycast is created here. So what we could do is all of this code we can wrap in another piece of code. So if current number of cats is less than number of cats allowed, then you can do this then you can do this, which will mean you tap once and only 1 cat will be on the screen. That I think will solve the issue that we want. And then of course we want to also say, once that's happened, the current number of cats. Oh, spelled current wrong. It's not good. So let's just change that real quickly. Unless I've got this wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 2 R's. After a while, when you do programming, every single thing you write, every single spelling looks wrong. So anyway, current number of cats is equal to current number of cats plus 1. So now we have, if it's 0, or just say, well, we know this is 0 and this is a 1. So 0 is obviously less than 1. Goes inside of here, 0 plus 1. So current number of cats is now 1. Then it creates a cat, which is perfect. If the person taps again, it gets to this point, 1 is not less than 1, so it will not run this code, which is useful. Now I've done it inside, you'll notice I've done it inside of this screen position touch, screen point array touch position stuff, so we still have an ability to check where the person's tapping. That might come in handy later on. But let's see. So for now, let's run this. I'm going to run this on my phone and I'm going to see how this looks. So I tried to build and it looks like I've got a bunch of really odd errors where it's saying fields are not serialized. And that's caused a fail. I'm not entirely sure why that's happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my mono develop and I'm going to go to build and I'm going to go to clean all and I'm going to see if that helps in any way. So clean successful, which is good, and I'm going to go to then I'm going to go back to build. So I don't think you can see this, but I'm clicking on the top menu and I'm clicking on build cat tutorial now, or build all, or maybe rebuild all. No, I'm going to go build cat tutorial. And you can see it's building now based off of that. And let's see if those errors go away or if they persist. So it seems like it's okay now. But we won't know unless I try again. So let's hit File, Build Settings, check those one more time. That looks okay. Hello AR looks alright. And let's try building run one more time and let's see if we get that errors or not. This looks more promising. Cat AR. So sometimes you get errors. Don't panic. It might be you might have done everything wrong. Sometimes Unity just freaks out a little bit. So that's just a simple trick that you can use to just make sure everything's okay, and it seems to have worked for me now. I thought I'd share that with you since I had an opportunity to show it to you since it just happened. Alright, so let's see how this looks on the device. I've got a surface now. If I tap, should make the cat. Okay, it didn't. I'm tapping nothing. So something's gone wrong here. So how do we debug this? Well, for starters, if we go to our build settings, we can put development build on, script debugging, and that should allow us to see some of the issues that we're getting from the on the console. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit a debug here, debug.log, hit made. I'm going to put that here actually because I think that would make sense. Then I'm going to put, so if it gets past that, I'm going to check what the current number of cats is at the moment, and see if that is less than the number of cats allowed. I mean, it should really be the case, because I mean, there's no reason why this is the issue. I have a feeling it's to do with the prefab itself. The fact that we changed these cat objects, but I don't know. Let's take a proper look. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to place a debug here, and I'm going to say cat object. What I want to see is at what point does it stop working and is it not working. So cat object should now tell me what's inside cat object. If it's null, then we know something's gone terribly wrong. Alright, so let's go back here. Let's just have a quick look at our example controller again. So number of cats allowed, 1. Okay. So I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to hit File and Build and run again. See what happens. So it's important that when you build and run, obviously my phone is connected to my laptop. When I'm testing the phone and I've got it on developer mode, I want to keep my phone connected via USB. That way I can see what errors come up, and this is quite important when you're doing AR debugging. At the moment, in future updates, they'll probably have it so that you can debug or you can probably run AR in an artificial way through Unity. Maybe they'll have using your laptop cam or your PC cam webcam. But until we get to that point, this seems like the best way to go around it. So let's see if we can catch any errors when we run it this time. Right, so I'm going to start up the app, and as you can see, since our USB is connected to our phone, we've got a bunch of statements that are coming up on our console, and this is because we clicked that development tick box. So now when we tap on the phone, debug statements that ordinarily would not have shown because you can't run this on the emulator on Unity. The debug statements that go wrong will appear on from our phone on our screen. So I'm just going to see if I can capture some of the floor. There we go. And if I go back to the console, we've got a whole bunch of errors that have come up, which is super weird. I'm going to clear these for now, and I'm going to tap on the screen and see what happens, because I'm more interested in what happens when we click. Okay, there you go. So a lot of these errors, I know that was a bit daunting and a bit scary to see those, but a lot of these errors I believe are happening, those errors that you saw before I did any interaction, before I tapped on the screen. Some of those pop up. They don't always pop up. Some of them pop up. Now this one's constantly happening. I think that's because we're working on the beta build at the moment. So I'm going to just put those aside and ignore them for now, and I'm going to focus on the debug statement. So we've got hit made, current number of cats 0, number of cats 1, and then we have an error. The object you want to instantiate is null. So that means these statements work, 0, 1. This one did not happen. So the chances of the problem, the error occurred here, the instantiation of mcat. So let's see if we can discover why that happened. So let's go into our example controller. Let's clear these now. So we're no longer running the app, which makes sense that there's nothing coming up on our console. Let's go to this part and see if mcat prefab. You see, so mcat prefab is empty. So when I changed the name, before it was Andy prefab, I changed it now to cat prefab. What I failed to do was assign it. So it's just trying to, it's completely empty, and now I need to put cat right in here. So earlier on I said I don't need to test it. Obviously I was clearly wrong. That's what happens when you get cocky. So there you go. That's a lesson for all of us. So I mean, I'm glad that we got to see these areas. I'm going to save the project. I'm going to try building it again. I think you're going to come across a lot of issues with AR, and it's really tricky to find the errors, especially because you can't, debug inside of Unity. You can only run it off of your phone. If anyone knows of a better way to debug than this, let me know. But I think this is the best way that I've managed to find. Okay, so let's try this on the phone and see how this looks. So here we are again. We are running on the phone, and I'm gonna tap on the screen, and hopefully we should get to see the cat. Bingo! It worked. I am so happy about that. And we can see he's moving. Well, he's looking left and right. Now it's not picking up. The AI isn't working great, but that's probably because my floor hasn't got many key points on it, since it's quite a flat, quite empty floor. But this is definitely working, which is great. So there you go. This is how you add very simple animations in Android, an ARCore to an prefab, and get that to work as well. So that's the end of this tutorial. We've added animation to our prefab. In the next tutorial, maybe we can look at movement now, and getting the cat to move around, or maybe move towards you, or maybe move towards a spot on the ground that you've clicked on. If you want, you can, leave a comment. Let me know what you want, whether you want me to specifically make the cat move towards the camera or move towards a spot. If you think one will be better than the other, maybe I'll take that on board before, if I see it before I start making this next tutorial. And of course, if you like this tutorial, please leave a like and a comment and share it with everyone you know. And if you want to support what I'm doing, as well as get an awesome game while it's in beta on a reduced price, check out Colossal Quest. I'd really appreciate that, and let me know what you think of it. It's always good to hear people's feedback. All right, well, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And again, the code is below, so you don't have to make all the mistakes that I did in this video if you don't want to. And I will speak to you and see you on the next video. Bye.